What's up, everyone? It's Lord Vapors with Draco Mar. Now it's time for an episode of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Last time, we beat Darklink, and with different items that we have available to us found in the game, as well as the Master Sword. And we varied up the sword strikes and destroyed Darklink. In this episode, we are going to play the Song of Time and open the Song of Time block. Darklink, although a tough opponent, can be deceived, similar to AI from fighting games and other forms of AI. So now we're going to be going down this river full of vortexes. You don't want to get sucked up by the vortexes because they cause a lot of damage. And of course, if this was real life, that would probably be instant death. Also, if this was Mario Sunshine, that would also be instant death. But I have been sucked up by the vortexes in this game, and no, it's not instant death. Anyhow, we're going to be stopping here and putting on some iron boots to get a Skulltula here on the wall. I've been wanting to post more stuff, but I've been trying to do a lot. I've been trying to train myself to get good at Street Fighter V. It's been moderately successful, but it's required a lot of my effort and time. Also, I've been trying to learn to drive. That has been reasonably successful, but it's harder than I thought to get good at driving. It really is. It requires effort. The controls are clunky. Like, you know how Ocarina of Time is for the N64? That is what driving is like, but with more exaggerated controls. And it's pretty difficult to master, especially because you cannot afford to lose. So it's just... And it's got this tilting and like moving hand over hand, but like I'm using the foot and the gas and the brake. And then of course there's the problem with the gas. It's touchy as heck. Like, you don't want to push too hard on the gas. Anyway, you're going to want to trigger that I switch with the arrow and then hookshot the chest from afar. You're going to want this key because you need to get past the I'm trying to go back through that whirlpool and then kill this Tektite. And you're going to want to trigger the switch on the far end of the room if you want. Or you can just hookshot to that. But the key, the goal is you want to get that key, and then you want to get to the center room. You're going to want to escape the main area that leads out of Darklink, and then go back to the main room. Now this is where the dungeon gets a bit complicated, so I want to discuss this. So yes, this area has 4 different places where you can go, and this can be a bit baffling, especially if you're new to the Water Temple. The Water Temple is not a simple temple, precisely. It gets more simple once you've memorized it, and you've gotten good at temples in general, or you just get good at using a lot of logic. But for those who are new to using a lot of logic in video games, this, like, even then, this kind of thing, you have to put a lot of thought into getting good at this. Anyhow, here, we're going to be going down here and getting a golden Skulltula token here, trying to pull it to where we are. So that was a bit unexpected that I was going to do that, because usually I don't get the golden Skulltula tokens, but that's where that golden Skulltula token is located. It is only possible, as far as I know, to get that particular golden Skulltula token with the hookshot. But I wanted to probably get that out of the way because there are so many golden Skulltulas in this game. Even if you try to get every one you can see, you'll probably still end up missing some of the golden Skulltulas. Anyway, we're going to go back to the same torch room, or same room with the 2 torches at the door where Ruto, Princess Ruto, was, who's now a full-grown woman Zora instead of a little girl. And we are going to be going and playing Zelda's Lullaby to lower the water level, because we've got to see a lot of this temple has got to do with manipulating the water level and trying to locate where, or kind of plan in your head, where from the central room am I going to go to, where are the keys, first off? Where are the keys? What blocks do I have to push at what water levels? And how do I avoid getting trapped in here? Because that's one of the biggest dangers of this dungeon, is getting trapped at the wrong water level. Getting trapped at the wrong water level in this dungeon can be catastrophic, so you want to pay close attention to where you push blocks at what water levels. That is what you want to pay attention to, because that's key. Also, you'll want to remember where you got your last keys from, so that you can locate where future keys will be in this dungeon. It's quite hard to explain because this is not an easy dungeon, but as you can see, we have clearly not hit this eye switch, and we have clearly not used our long shot to get through this corridor. So this is a whole new area. This indicates, like, the fact that we haven't got behind that grate yet indicates it's a new area, and we can push this block aside, and that will reveal a key. Yeah, it's pretty ingenious. But that grate helps indicate to us we haven't been in this place yet. Especially the need for the long shot. And if you remember, we didn't have the long shot until after Dark Link. So, because of that, we know that they're probably hiding something there. And sure enough, they are hiding a small key. Now that we have both small keys, one from just after the water corridor after Dark Link, and one from behind that grate, we are going to be killing this Tektite and rising up this large, this fountain of water. You know, I really do like the fact that they put these interesting puzzles in this, and I really do like the water and the style of this dungeon. The style of this dungeon is really well thought out. It's also why this dungeon can be difficult for newcomers to, or pretty much anyone. Like, I've had times where I've had trouble with these dungeons. Some things, though, are harder, like trying to figure out certain players in Street Fighter, like actual people like, that play the game rather than bots. Bots, they're already kind of hard to figure out, but it's not like they have a pattern. And if you can pick up on that pattern, you can figure out how to stop the pattern, then it's not as much of a thing. Anyhow, we're going to be sinking down here, and we're going to be sinking into this chamber we haven't really fully explored. So if we take off the boots, we can see that there is a row of spikes in these interesting designs and a locked door. Very interesting locked door, because usually locked doors in this game lead to something interesting. So we're going to be going into these flowing currents of water and trying to evade the Tektites and the boulders, and trying to get over to this door, and hopefully you can get past the Tektites. You usually end up damage boosting yourself into there, or like damaging yourself and then getting in. Now we'll be fighting these stingrays off, and they yield a lot of hearts, which is it's kind of cheesy, because you see in the real world you don't get a lot of, like, you get potions. Like, even in more serious games, you get potions instead of that. Or you don't get health recovery items at all. Like in Street Fighter, you do not get health recovery items. where you have to sap the opponent's HP directly by some kind of magic. You can't just automatically get health from them. Anyway, we're going to be pushing this block over to the other side after blowing up these 2 cracks in the walls, because you need to get this block onto this switch in order to raise the water level so that we can get to the next part of the dungeon. Now, this block is pretty heavy, and you're going to want to be pulling it. And that's also why you need bombs from the Dongo's caverns, so you can bomb the walls, so you can't not go there. And that's also why you need the gauntlets, because there are many cases in this game, if you're not doing weird stuff, that you need to be able to push very heavy blocks into place. Now, you're going to be waiting to try to get the water level to rise. There is an iron boots trick you could do to get the water to rise and then go up here, but it requires very precise timing, which I'm not exactly 100% on, at least not at this time. I might very well be good enough for that now, because I have learned a lot about conditioning and stuff in my journey to become better at fighting games. Because fighting games, contrary to popular belief, are not just button mashing, and they're not easy. Those who think they're easy have never actually played against competent opponents before. Anyway, we're going to be getting our golden sculptula and going down into the water. And we're a bit late. Kill this shell blade. These shell blades can be annoying. And then take the iron boots off. Go up this interesting water, like this like this water column. And in here we have the boss key. And see, that locked door, that's why you need 2 keys. You first need a key to get into this main chamber, but you need the second key to get in there. I have more than once forgotten that you need another key, and I've been like literally stuck at that door, you know? And that had been a big problem for me. Anyway, we're gonna get a fairy, because the next boss battle, I am somewhat phobic of it, at least at this time. I'm not phobic about it anymore, because I've met things that are way, way more challenging than this boss now. But at the time, I was somewhat phobic of it. Now, if you're not careful about this next boss, you will not do well at it. It will get you. This boss, you have to be wary and constantly aware of what this boss is going to do to you. Because this boss does a lot of damage if it gets a hold of you. It's not a problem normally, like, cause like it's a problem normally, but like, how do I explain this? The boss is kind of slow, but if he gets you, it's damaging. And also, it can be scary the way the boss seizes you. If he catches you unawares. The key with this next boss is you don't want him to catch you unawares. You also want to get back to this main chamber, and well, it's easier to get back to the main chamber once you got the boss key. Finding the boss key and finding the rest of the keys and making sure you don't get caught at some undesirable water level, that is the hardest part of this dungeon. Now, the dungeon is practically complete. Yeah, it is complete. The dungeon is complete, and now we can go on to the boss! The boss. Yes. Now this boss is kind of funny, because this boss is kind of like what happened if you... This boss is kind of like what would happen if you had a swimming pool and you never cleaned the swimming pool, like ever. You never cleaned the swimming pool, and then once you never cleaned the swimming pool, then the slime began to build up inside the swimming pool. That's kind of like what this boss is like, kind of. Look out, that isn't normal water. They didn't clean the pool. Wait, the pool is clear, so wait. What kind of creature is this? Wait. Is this some kind of water disaster? Is this from, like... Is this what happened when, like... like one of those water pollution incidents? Because that's what this is like. This is really weird. It's like, you know, there was runoff and it got into the pool water. And now it has turned into a giant evil beast. The giant aquatic amoeba, Morpha. Yes, so yes, this aquatic amoeba is toxic. You don't want to drink the water in there. You also don't want to get touched by it. This amoeba is not good for your skin. There are also spikes all the way around the arena, so you're going to want to hookshot the nucleus and attack the nucleus. However, you want to only attack the nucleus a certain amount of time. You're going to watch where the tentacle comes out as it bobs up and down. You're going to listen for the tentacles. If you hear a tentacle coming out and you don't see it, look around you and avoid whatever tentacles you see. Because if the tentacle contacts you, it will instantly seize you and cause a lot of damage. So you're going to want to try to shut the nucleus out of the pool of water. It's got these interesting ladders on all of these columns in this swimming pool. It looks like one of those, like in a nuclear reactor. You know those nuclear reactors where they have like a nuclear cooling pool or whatever? That's what this looks like. So yeah, we're going to be slashing at that nucleus. It's kind of weird the way this pool is formed. You think that they would just make it in one large pool, but maybe there's certain heating or cooling units inside of those pillars. Anyhow, we're hookshotting the nucleus and slashing at it. But like I said, the key with this boss is to always be aware. Always be aware of tentacles coming out in different places. And listen and look at these tentacles. See now, instead of one tentacle, there's two. So it makes it more complicated. While you're preoccupied with one tentacle, the other tentacle can come up from behind, touch you. The second it touches you, it'll seize you and start throwing you very scarily through the air. You can also go into this main platform and hookshot the nucleus from here and slash at it. You can use regular slashes or spin attacks. Spin attacks do extra damage, however, spin attacks can be non-nucleus away. Unless you use crouch stabs or, dare I say, possibly ISG. I don't use ISG because ISG is cheap, but yeah, if you're good enough at it, you can. Anyway, you can hookshot the nucleus out of from one of those tentacles. And you want to try to strafe around his body. I know that sounds crazy, but you want to strafe. Because if you don't strafe, you might stay in the range of a random tentacle. You want to kind of size it up and strafe, and try to keep as much distance between you and the tentacle. Because otherwise, and you always want to keep your eye on the nucleus, and realize that in a radius of the nucleus, the tentacles could come out. This also reminds me of some kind of creature you might see in Marvel, Dr. Doom's laboratory, like some kind of laboratory. Daniel was having experiments, and he was making this lab. And it kind of also, there's a lot of other tentacle-like bosses in Zelda games and many other games. And they have very interesting origins. So this is really quite an intriguing boss. And it can be quite difficult if you are not always aware of the tentacles and strafing and moving away. You must always be aware because it's kind of clear. So it's not easy to see the tentacles, but you have to try to see and predict. Or use your ears, because otherwise the boss will seize you will cause you lots of damage and can destroy you. So there you have it. The aquatic amoeba, Morpha. The boss is reasonably new. It's one of the harder bosses, actually, because of the amount of damage it can cause. However, the next boss is even harder. Much harder. The next boss can be much harder. But, here's the thing about the next boss. He can die real quick. That's the thing. He does a lot of damage in a short amount of time. But, if you kill him real quick, like, I'll talk about this when we get there, but if you kill this next boss really quick, he can't do really anything to you. But if you give him any kind of big chance or any decent chance, he will rip you up so bad. You've expected no less from the man you chose to be your husband. Soros domains, people eventually return to their original state. But you're a fish lady, and I'm not a fish lady. But I don't think you can say that now, because you know I am not a fish man, I'm something else. In this form, I am an elf man, but in Vaporsmith form, in my book, I am a demon. And right now, I am unfortunately in mundane human form commentating this video. And nothing will stop us in our question for justice and truth. We are going to be taking this medallion. This medallion will allow us to move further toward uniting the 6 sages to defeat Ganon. And yes, I can defeat Ganon. In fact, I find Ganon less scary than Morpha the aquatic amoeba, because Morpha the aquatic amoeba can seize you unexpectedly if you're not constantly strafing and keeping away from him. It is necessary to strafe and keep away from Morpha. You can't just aggro Morpha because, like I said, if you touch any part of Morpha, it starts either the nucleus will damage you, or the tentacles will seize you. And it's pretty obvious though if the tentacle seize you. As the water rises, the evil is vanishing from the lake. Somehow, Ganondorf managed to permeate the lake itself with evil. Not exactly sure how. So we have to return peace to Hyrule person too. And if we look at that, Princess will destroy the evil monster. Once again, the lake is filled with pure water. Oz was here, as she says it, but anyway, the pure water has flushed out the evil somehow. I don't know. There is still an ice barrier to Zora's domain. Zora's domain is still kind of frozen. And it doesn't really unfreeze for the rest of the game. You don't ever see that because Ganon's curse, I think, only is somewhat removed from the lake. It's not removed from all of Zora's domain. But I think King Zora is saved. Anyway, Sheik surreptitiously dives off into the lake after talking to Link. And now we are going to try to get the fire arrows, hopefully, if we can aim and shoot. That did not work. Well, it looks like we're going to have to use the sun song, because the sun has to be in a very specific position to get the fire arrows. You will want to get the fire arrows because the fire arrows are very good for the rest, are needed for the rest of the game in certain places. And you know, hook shot up here, another reason why you want to do this, is you can hook shot up here if I can get the right angle. And up here is a... Great. See, this is one of the troubles of getting all the golden Skulltulas. But at least, I'm gonna walk out on this branch. See, that's the trouble of getting on this tree. It's amazing, though, that we haven't, like, broken Link's legs from falling from that height. Link is so resilient that, it doesn't really matter. Anyhow, we're going to get the golden Skulltula. And then fall over here and get out arrows and play the sun song. so that we can get it to daytime. And then when daytime appears, shoot the sun. And that is how it's done. And then the fire arrows appear. Fire arrows and light arrows consume magic. And I'm going to collect the fire arrows. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ocarina of Time. Next time on Ocarina of Time, we will be going off to preparations for the Shadow Temple. And I will also be finishing off Hyrule Warriors and moving on to other games, because I have done many other games and I can talk about other things. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you and goodbye.